Your degree, my dad is a mechanical engineer, and so growing up I kind of saw him. So he's a baby boomer, he's about to turn 70 years old this year, and I kind of got him I watched him get screwed over by the corporations. He actually works for a city government agency, the local utility authority. So I didn't know what I wanted to do in college, and so I decided to do what my dad did, but I hated it. And I read this book called The Millionaire Fast Lane by a guy named MJ DeMarco. It's a phenomenal book. I probably read it 5 or 6 times. And one of the things I found, it's shockingly good. It's a stupid book name, ridiculous book name, but it's a top-notch book. But what I found by what I found by reading that book is that one of the best ways to make money quickly is to build software. Anyway, I read that book, figured out that I wanted to do software, and I started making websites and ended up getting a random email from a marketing company back in Jacksonville, Florida. I was in college 70 miles south in Gainesville, Florida, and that ended up starting off my software career because I knew that I wanted to be in software. I was telling everybody that I wanted to be in software. I got that random email because a friend of mine recommended me, a childhood friend of mine, and so that's how my career began. It was like straight up law of attraction stuff because I knew I wanted to be in software, so I was talking about it, and the opportunity came. What was the most unexpected benefit of becoming an entrepreneur was that it requires you to build your character. Something that I really learned specifically was what entrepreneurship has demanded of me is being a man of my word. Like when you say something to somebody in a meeting, you say, oh, this is going to cost, let's just say something's going to cost $5,000. You can't go and write a proposal for, oh man, like I didn't account that I had to like make copies and actually it's going to be 5,500. Like what's the greatest benefit to entrepreneurship that I've seen is the fact that it has forced me to build my character, because whenever I have been, whether it be less than honest or less than taking care of what needs to be taken care of, it hurts financially so hard that like you're forced to adjust or like you will go out of business. Like made is about potential, right? Like so say I'm not for example, I'm 5'9" in the United States, so it's going to be very difficult for me to play in the NBA, no matter how good I am at basketball. Okay, yeah, there we go. So like, right, yeah. So for example, that's nature, right? That's what we were born with. That was our maximum height theoretically that we could have gotten, and so our chances of getting to the NBA, while they are extremely slim, they're like astronomically. Even though it was astronomical before, now it's just almost ridiculous. So we can play basketball enough to increase our skill. That's going to increase our probability. So like nature is still a huge aspect of that, but as we're developing the skill of becoming a basketball player, at the end of the day, there is Muggsy Bogues, who was 5'3" and played in the NBA. Like there are short, below average people that have played in the NBA. So it has happened. So even though, like, I essentially what you're saying is that as time goes on and as you work on your skills, that becomes more important than your nature. And so I would say I would agree with that, but I would also say that your nature also helps because, like, yeah, you're just going to be limited. I don't know. I think that the pressures of like, I mean, there's multiple times in this over this 2.5 years where I've really had to like dig deep and consider why. I mean, you mentioned this at the beginning of the podcast. You mentioned that I took a stint where I worked for an NFT startup for 5 months, and I ended up like tripling the salary that I was making as an employee versus what I pay myself at my company. So I was making triple what I pay myself, and I discovered that I was happier through the hardship of being an entrepreneur because I love the idea of being able to have an idea, and I don't have there's no politics. Like I'm the person that dictates like whether we're going to execute on a vision, and I'm willing to pay like 2/3 of my salary to do that. And I guess so in regards to Made Not Born, like you just I think entrepreneurship has a lot to do with your ability to handle the swings, because the swings in entrepreneurship are even more than real life in the sense that like you have to make payroll. When you have your employees, like when you're an employee, like you have a static paycheck that's always coming in every month. The problem with entrepreneurship is it's like this. Sometimes you don't get paid for a month or a month and a half, and then you get all this money at the same time, and it's on you to be responsible with that money and to like be able to dole it out and budget it. Like in your personal life, you can get away with not budgeting. I'd say the vast majority of people don't have a budget, but like not doing your accounting in your business and not having a budget for your business is legitimate suicide for your business. And so that goes back to our original topic, which was entrepreneurship is like kind of like a crucible. So in regards to being made, not born, I think it's a bit of both. Like I think you have to have a certain mentality to do it, but like you have to be able to take the hits. Like I have to be able to withstand getting a bunch of money at one time and not being greedy. I have to be able to withstand not having any money and being able to mentally have the fortitude of, okay, how am I going to get to this next dollar, and how am I going to make sure that I'm going to be able to pay my employees? Like that's what entrepreneurship demands of you. And so that's why I think the answer is both, in the sense that you have to have the nature to withstand those swings and to be stoic during those times, but then you also have to it also requires you to build your character, so it forces you to grow. The advice that I would give a founder is that you need to find a way to start as quickly as possible, because the faster you start, and so like if there's anything that's preventing you from getting started, you need to find a way to just do it anyways, despite your fears, despite your anxieties. And the reason why I'm saying that sounds very cold to say that. The reason why is because you're going to learn much more while doing it, as opposed to reading books, watching YouTube videos, you going in there and even failing. Like I actually started this same company that I have, or Equals. I started back in 2016. It was a company called Flux Prime, and it folded. It went under within like 6 months. So 5 years later, I ended up starting the exact same company, the exact same industry, exact same city, and I used what I learned from that failure, and now I've got 4 or 5 employees. So you need to fail quickly. Entrepreneurship is all about failure and loss, and being able to handle it. Like Charles, like you said earlier, you said, I lost 50 or to 100 grand, and I was glad that I lost that because I learned something. So whoever's thinking about getting into it, what really matters is you need to go in and fail. You need to seek failure, because that is going to be the ultimate teacher.